Hi, everyone. My name's Alicia, and I'm from Nutrition and Whole Health Solution. And today the topic is all about fats, healthy fats, not so healthy fats. So let's get started. This is a basic overview. There's certainly a lot more in a deeper dive we can go into, but for now, this will give everyone some good basic information, updated information on fats. And if there's any questions, you guys can always reach out to us at nwhslife.com, or you can give us a call, and we are happy to answer all your questions. Okay, so fat is a macronutrient, right? Macronutrients are three things. They're fats, they're proteins, and they're carbohydrates. So today we're going to be talking about fats. And they are essential for the health and well-being of our entire body. When fats are digested, they become fatty acids. The body uses them for energy, and they help build and repair hormones, cell membranes, healthy function and form of the brain, heart, and all organs and muscles. So there's three classifications of fats. So the first one is saturated fat. The second one is monounsaturated fatty acids, really. And I may reference that as MUFAs, M-U-F-A. It's just the acronym for monounsaturated fatty acids, and polyunsaturated, or PUFAs. So I'm going to explain a little bit about each one. So saturated fats are best for cooking. They're highly stable. They do not go rancid easily, and they're solid at room temperature. They're found in tropical fats and animal fats. Some examples of that are coconut oil, coconut butter, grass-fed butter, ghee, which is clarified butter, animal fats from grass-fed, not only grass-fed, but grass-fed and pasture-raised animals. If it just says grass-fed on there, the animal is still sitting in a crate or a cage locked up, and they just come through and dump the grass into their feeding trough. They do not get to see outside. So grass-fed and pasture-raised. These are the preferred fuel for the heart. So the next one is monounsaturated. And this one is typically the, let's see what we call it, like just the safest one out of the three that people know about. Saturated fats have been vilified for many years, or demonized, and I shouldn't say vilified, they're demonized. And monounsaturated we mostly all associate with as being healthy fats. They're okay for low heat. They're relatively stable. They do not go rancid easily, and they're liquid at room temperature. So some examples of that are olive oil, olives, avocado oil, avocados, nuts, nut butters, and bone marrow. So you might say, well, I cook a lot in olive oil and avocado, and I have a high heat. My avocado, it says it can handle high heat. It's probably, it might be a little processed, and you just want to make sure that you're cooking at a like low to medium heat. When you start cooking at a high heat, you will start to make it rancid. And that then starts to lead to, we'll just say, health problems in the body. Polyunsaturated fats are not recommended for cooking. They're relatively unstable, and they go rancid quickly. They're always liquid and should never be used for cooking. They need to be refrigerated. And so there's two types of polyunsaturated fats, or PUFAs. First one is linoleic acid, or LA, and the second one is alpha linolenic acid, ALA. Some examples of that are, and these are, we're giving you examples, well, I am giving you examples of healthy fats right now. There are definitely unhealthy fats in these categories as well. And we'll talk about them later. So examples are fish oils, fatty fish, and in that category, most of us are familiar with salmon, but mackerel is a canned fish most of the time. It is lovely. If any of you like tuna, you'll probably like this better. It's packed in oil and no bones, no skin, no head, but it does look like it's packaged almost like in a sardine can. And it's shelf stable, so there is, anytime you want to have some quick protein and some good healthy fats, you can check that out, mackerel. Walnuts, let's continue. Sorry, the diversion. Flax seeds and other seeds, and the oils from those seeds, which we'll get into a little bit. So what happens when we don't have enough healthy fats in our diet? Things like bruising easily, poor wound healing, poor growth, low body weight, or even high body weight. And this is often caused by an excess in insulin or cortisol, or both, levels due to the overconsumption of carbs. Dry, scaly skin, hair loss, heat and cold intolerance, low resistance to infection, and severe loss of menstruation. So here are some of the roles of fat in the body. Fats provide long burning energy, long slow burning energy. Think of a campfire, right? So the logs on the fire are like protein and fats. When they catch on fire, they last a long time. That fire is going for hours and hours. So that's long, stable energy. And you can think of carbohydrates like the kindling on the fire, and that burns up quick and then it's gone. So if you stood there all day trying to light a fire with kindling, you would be standing there all day to keep it going. So no wonder why you're constantly hungry and never really satisfied, right? So here we go. When you eat healthy fats, you're satiated for a long time. Fats slow down the absorption of food in the body for proper energy regulation. It serves as a protective lining to organs and joints, and it makes food taste good, of course. Fats are necessary for the makeup and absorption of a couple fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. So in order to absorb those vitamins, they need to have fat with them. One of the supplements we have in our line here at the office is vitamin D3, K2 spray from Energetics, and it is in a coconut oil base. It's a spray. But we have a few others as well. But that's just one example. So highly absorbable. The makeup of every cell membrane in the entire body, the formation and function of every hormone, healthy liver function, and also the building of healthy cholesterol and bile. Managing of the inflammatory process. Okay, so what is inflammation? Inflammation is one of the body's ways to heal and protect itself, and it's there by design. Our body is designed, when we get a wound, it inflames, and then it should anti-inflame. And the problem arises when those two things are out of balance. So most often it's caused by a diet high in refined carbs, processed seed oils, trans fats, and sugar. It can also be triggered by any food sensitivity. Most common is gluten and dairy, but a person can be sensitive to any food at certain times in their life for many reasons. Cholesterol, I mentioned these things. Cholesterol has received a very bad reputation in the last century and is not understood. Much like saturated fat, it has been demonized, right? And countless people have been put on medications to lower those all-important numbers. There's always more to the picture than just some numbers or a single test. Cholesterol has many important roles in the body, primarily, just like I've mentioned a few times already, the makeup of cell membranes. It helps make steroid hormones, including your sex hormones, cortisol, aldosterone. It helps with bile production, so we can digest fats, right? Bile helps emulsify fats and cut through it. And it creates and metabolizes vitamin D. As I mentioned earlier, without cholesterol, these processes do not happen well, if at all. So now let's get into some poly and mono and polyunsaturated fats. So what about omega-3s and omega-6s? Omega-3s, so these two fats are called essential fatty acids because our body cannot make them, and we must get them from our diet. They have key roles in the body's inflammatory process. So omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. So you want to think like they're the fire truck with the water. And not all, but most omega-6s are pro-inflammatory, which we need to have happen in our body too. The key is to have them in balance, a 1-to-1 ratio. And in today's modern society, especially in this country, but starting to get globally, the typical ratio is often 1-to-20. So 1 omega-3 to every 20 omega-6 that the average American is consuming, and it's actually higher than that. This is due primarily to the overconsumption of omega-6s in the form of vegetable oils used in cooking and all processed food and in most restaurants, and the underconsumption of omega-3s. So let's try to eliminate, or I shouldn't say eliminate, but reduce a lot the omega-6s we're consuming and increase those omega-3s, which again is from fish, fat. So one thing I didn't mention is an egg yolk has some omega-3s in it, But just like salmon, if it's a fragile oil, it's a polyunsaturated fat, it's a fragile oil, it can't handle high heat. So when you cook an egg all the way through, like a hard-boiled egg, and it becomes like chalk, the omega-3 is no longer available to you. Same thing with salmon when it's cooked all the way through. Kind of needs to be a little more on the medium rare side. Just not cook the life out of it. Otherwise, the omega-3 is gone from it. Just know that. Okay, so where do we go from here? So in the imbalances of the polyunsaturated fats plays a primary role in the inflammatory process. When you consume a balance of healthy fats and remove toxins like sugar, you'll notice a decrease in discomfort, swelling, pain in your joints, as well as all over your body, right? So a couple myths. Fat makes you fat, and fat will give you heart disease. And the fact to both of those in the answer is sugar, refined carbs, trans, and fake hydrogenated fats make you fat. The only macronutrient fat is associated with excess body weight are highly refined seed and fake fats. Sorry, seed oils and fake fats. Healthy saturated and MUFAs and PUFAs keep your body healthy and are used for fuel for the body. So moving on. So let's talk about oils on the shelf and products, right? So when a label says it has no trans fats, look for the words hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated. And if you see it, put it back. These are trans fats. Often in society today and media, saturated fat is, thank God we have some podcasts, but more often than not, saturated fat is being clumped together with trans fats, and they are not the same. Your body does not know what to do with a hydrogenated or trans fat. It knows what to do and how to process a saturated fat. It's so a hydrogenated or trans fat isn't even food to the body. So it'll store it in adipose tissue. So think of fat cells. We'll store it towards stored body fat. Vegetable oils like canola, corn, soybean, cottonseed, etc., are primary PUFAs, polyunsaturated, that cause problems in the body. So I hadn't mentioned those until now. But they're highly refined and, if not often, come from GMO plants and are most likely rancid before you even open the bottle. So the refining process of these oils involves high heat, chemical solvents, deodorants, and bleaches, because they smell so bad because they're rancid that you would never eat them. So now let's just throw a bunch of perfume and chemicals all over it so you won't know. At this point, your body no longer recognizes this as actual food. The whole purpose of the refining process, right, is to extend the oil's shelf life. So now they sit on shelves in pretty much clear plastic bottles. And you might say, oh, mine isn't plastic, it's glass. Okay. It's exposed to light and still some air, and that light affects it, and which all further breaks down the structure and the fragility of the fat. So it makes it even worse. So just think, the longer the shelf life, the shorter your health life, right? You're going to want to look for getting an oil that is in a really dark light black bottle, not from GMO plants when you're shopping. So just a few things to think about. Up until the 20th century, heart disease, autoimmune disease, cancer, and obesity were rarities. They were very uncommon. I will tell you that we see it daily in here, at least one of those come in the door, which is unfortunate. Today, they have become commonplace, right? These modern day diseases began to arise in direct proportion with two important dietary changes. So one is the removal of healthy fats from the diet and replacing those fats with sugars, salts, and man-made or trans and hydrogenated fats. And the increase of processed foods and the addition of sugar and salts, bad salts in those processed foods, right? These all help you make the food taste good, but also make you addicted to it, start to get you addicted to it. So the difference between a good fat and a bad fat has more to do with how it's processed than the fat itself. Trans fat and vegetable oils like canola, soy, corn, cottonseed should always be avoided. These genetically modified PUFAs, polyunsaturated fats, are highly processed and refined and found in almost all processed foods. Also, I wanted to mention that, just on the wrapping up the topic of fats, insulin drives the liver to convert excess carbs into fat. So even if someone avoids eating saturated fat entirely, insulin can still ramp up production of saturated fatty acids. And so sometimes when people have, high numbers and they're saying, I don't even eat any animal products, that could be why, the overconsumption of carbohydrates, and they're not utilizing them, right? If you don't use it, you're going to store it. If you're a highly active physical person, bumping over to carbs, then you will burn that, and you will utilize more of it. So I look forward to hearing from you guys in the office, and I hope you enjoyed this topic on healthy fats. Have a great day.